I'm Tommy D from the KnicksBlog.com. Welcome to another edition of TKBtv. Yes, there will be a Game 5. We will talk about the adjustments that Coach Woodson and the Knicks made to allow that to be the case. Joining me on the phone, as always, our good friend Andrew Smith. Andrew, how's it going?
Not bad, guys.
And in studio from MSG, our good friend Dalen Cuff.
What's up, man?
How are you, man?
Good.
Let's talk adjustments. They really, I thought it was something that we would have liked to have seen Game 3 and even Game 2. But they did a really good job, Coach Woodson did a really good job of allowing for Carmelo to get touches by using some screen actions not on the ball. Some back screens, some lob action that allowed whoever was defending Carmelo to at least follow the defender or the offensive player to the basket to get Melo isolation on the elbow. That really kind of helped him get good looks and get going towards what was a really monster game for him.
Yeah, it was during Game 3. I remember tweeting out, "Can we see a cross screen, an up screen, something? Get some movement to get him the ball." And I think a lot of times what they would start to do was him setting the screen. The screener a lot of times is the one that's going to be open because you have to respect the man coming off the screen. So when they set that up screen, as you said, whoever was coming off was J.R. Smith or Landry Fields. They had to respect that, which allowed him to then get open, and that was important. I think you got to find a way to get some movement to get him the ball with some space, because just trying to pound it in, it's not only not effective from when he gets the ball if he's just standing on the post, but it's tough. It wears you down 6, 7, 8 seconds of wrestling with Battier or a guy like LeBron James. You got to conserve Anthony's energy as much as you can, and a good way to do that is to get him the ball in places with a little more space to operate.
And Drew, I mean, we talked about it too. Ball screens, especially now without Baron Davis, not that they were working necessarily with him. You know, they don't have anybody that can penetrate. They don't have anybody that can get past the foul line. So ball screens really have become ineffective. You know, now you've got to get that action moving towards the basket.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the ball screens were obsolete, and it was twofold. One, Miami is a tremendous pick-and-roll defensive team, and two, the Knicks don't have anybody that can really dribble off of a ball screen. I mean, Davis and Smith would just take one dribble backwards and pick the ball up. So you like what you saw off the screens. There was a great play that they had with Chandler flashing high-low, and where he found Amari for the dunk, I believe. You got to see more of that. I think that with Chandler, it's a key because whoever's guarding him plays off of him and is helping too much. So you'd like to see Chandler flash a lot because he can get open and create in the paint. And the Knicks without the point guard are going to have to just attack the rim, and it's going to have to be Chandler, Amari, and Melo getting into the paint, and that's a good way to get it to
I think Amari did a good job, too, to your point, Andrew, of diving. Particularly early in the game, he found ways to cut down the lane and was trying to get open. At times, later in the game, actually, Anthony, I thought, missed him a couple times. But he's doing a good job of trying to play off the ball and be a guy that can get the ball in the lane and find a cut away from the ball to continue to have movement.
And that's something that they haven't done. They did earlier in the year, but Chandler can pass. You know, just that high-low, as Andrew mentioned, was open. And I think that the Heat are susceptible to action towards their front line. I mean, Joel Anthony's a good player defensively. Dwayne Wade's the guy who protects the rim for them. So if you can get that action moving down towards the basket with some interior passes, I always think the best passes, the most effective passes, are from the 4 to the 5, especially in a high-low situation.
Yeah, and they were doing a better job, and they got to continue to look to do that because the Heat just guard the perimeter so well. You're going to have to find ways to penetrate that. And as Andrew already said, we don't have many ball handlers left on the lineup, so you're going to do it with the pass. You got to play with each other. You got to find ways to get movement and get creation offensively. And I think Chandler's a good way to do that from the 5 when he comes up high, or continue to cut and dive. Amari, Chandler, continue to look when guys aren't paying attention to you. Amari, again, had a couple cuts right in front of his defender's face, which can't happen in basketball, and it's great for the offense.
Drew, Landry Fields is also a guy who can go baseline and make some cuts, but as you look towards Game 5, we talked about no Baron Davis and the guards. Jeremy Lin seemingly questionable. We don't know if he's going to play or not. What do you do from the point guard position? Obviously, Mike Bibby's not going to be playing 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think you pray. One thing that Miami did not do in this series yet too much, and we might see in Game 5 is full court pressure on the point guard. And we saw it with Lin in the regular season. They put Chalmers and Cole, with full court pressure, and he really struggled. And if that's going to be Bibby or even Douglas, the Knicks are in some serious trouble. They got to get the ball over half court, and it's going to be in Melo's hands. He's going to facilitate. So, you're concerned. It's a big concern going into Game 5 if they're going to do that. But at this point, the ball's going to be in Carmelo's hands and hopefully not Smith's too much.
That's a great point, Andrew. And I think what's important too is to find a way to get the ball out of Melo's hands. And if they're going to full court press, you can't wear him down. You got to think about the amount of energy he's going to need to expend late in the game. And if he's the one trying to break that pressure, that can't happen. I'm not very confident. I don't think any of us are in Bibby or Tony Douglas breaking a lot of full court pressure. So it could be a bit of an adventure, and they've got to find a way to not have it be Melo all the time, grinding it out for 94 feet. Even
bringing the ball up, I like what I saw, getting the ball out of his hands early and then maybe trying to find him later in the possession. But defensively, and this is something we talked about, they have to think about going zone because who's going to guard LeBron? They tried Jeffries on LeBron yesterday, and that obviously is a disaster. And Davis gave him a couple of decent minutes so that Melo didn't have to guard him. But to protect Melo and the amount of minutes that he's going to play, they've got to help him defensively.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I wrote it last week on the blog, and I still think it's even more applicable now to go 2-3 zone. They've got to find a way to take Melo off of LeBron, and I think Davis did a decent job, an admirable job when you're giving up 3-4 inches and a good amount of strength to a guy like LeBron. He did a pretty decent job. Now he's gone, so you have your guards are depleted. How are you going to find a way to protect the basket, to protect your guys' minutes in terms of Anthony's exertion on the defensive end to allow him to play offense at the high level late in the game? I think you got to go 2-3 zone, make the Heat continue to chuck jump shots. The last 2 games, they've shot 42% and below because they've actually settled for a lot of jump shots. Not saying the Knicks forced them to take a lot, but they played pretty good D. Zone is a way, again, to just make them continue to chuck jumpers and give you a chance to be there at the end of the game. That's all that really matters.
Another adjustment that they're going to probably have to make to be in the game in Game 5. Dalen, as always, thank you for the information. And Drew, enjoy the Ranger game tonight, bro.
Thanks, guys.
Game 5, baby.
You know it. And remember to get all your information on the Knicks. Check out the knicksblog.com, part of the SNY.TV blog network. I'm Tommy D. We'll see you next time.